Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Igor Calzada. I'm Principal Investigator at the University of Oxford, Replicate EU project, and I'm the Work Package Leader of Replication, Work Package 8. Welcome. I'm pleased to have you on board today. Today we are kicking off the City-to-City Learning Programme as the main replication activity of the EU Replicate project. Before advancing further, we think that it's worth giving a rationale behind the City-to-City Learning Programme as the replication strategy. Since the beginning of Replicate EU Lighthouse project back in 2016, we've been preparing the program in collaboration, in close collaboration, actually, with the three lighthouse cities, San Sebastian, Florence, and Bristol, alongside the three fellow cities, Essen, Lausanne, and Nilüfer, and their unique related multi-stakeholder framework. During this time, the Lighthouse projects have been intensively focused on the implementation of the pilots in the three main sectors, energy, mobility, and ICT. And alongside these implementations, in parallel, we've been carrying out fieldwork research in the three fellow cities to identify their critical factors and their unique composition of stakeholders. Now, it's time to start matching how a diverse set of urban implementations could be adapted and scaled up by considering the composition of stakeholders in each fellow cities. As a result, the fellow cities, will formulate their replication plans. This program has been designed entirely to assist both fellow cities and lighthouse cities to find a common ground to develop the replication plans of the fellow cities. By the way, the European Commission at the moment is talking about fellow cities and not follower cities. Just check the website. Thus, this program will last during the whole year of 2019, and it starts today with one of the lighthouse cities, and most importantly, with the leader city of the project Replicate, which is Donostia, San Sebastian in the Basque Country, Spain. Two practical notes. City-to-City Learning Programme is designed to be a private program among, and this is a very relevant thing, among Replicate stakeholders. Nevertheless, it will be entirely publicly accessible, just this webinar session in the Replicate website. So in order to ensure broadly an interactive discussion, the hashtag City-to-CityLearning and also Replicate EU in the Twitter channel will be used to facilitate these conversations, not only among this webinar, this Replicate stakeholders webinar, but also beyond the Replicate consortium as well. So stay tuned. Before moving on, we might ask, why are we putting forward a replication strategy through this City-to-City Learning Programme? And we must say that according to the European Commission, smart city technologies are vital to ensure that cities can answer the key social, political, democratic, economic, institutional, and environmental questions that current and future generations face. The European Commission has invested 280 million euros to establish the Horizon 2020, which encompasses, apart from Replicate, another 13 lighthouse projects encompassing 40 lighthouse cities and 43 follower cities. So the lighthouse projects aim to deliver smart technologies to municipalities, but demonstrating that technologies like electric cars and smart lampposts, as we are going to see later, can be a cost-effective way of tackling some of the most profound problems faced by city authorities. But the problem is, how can we accelerate this process of learning from city to city, given, first, the complexity of each intervention and its related uniqueness, and second, the gap between designing and implementing urban solutions. So this is why the City-to-City Learning Programme is based on multi-stakeholder interaction, exploring ongoing implementations, as we are going to see today with three cases, connecting interests and strategies, and adapting while replicating in real time. So the main two objectives of City-to-City Learning Programme initially are to prioritize and foster a unique learning process through interaction and conversations among a diverse set of stakeholders in the 6 replicate cities in order to assist and help follow our fellow cities in formulating their replication plans, and consequently to share the whole content publicly available in open access under the license Creative Commons, sparking a remarkable discussion beyond the Replicate project. Today, we are going to kick off the program with San Sebastian. Just in a nutshell, San Sebastian is approximately 186,000 inhabitants. Within the context of Replicate, several pilot projects have been implemented in the area of Urumea River District. The district has the city's largest green park, which is the Ametzagaña Park, and a large industrial park called Polígono 27, which houses over 300 companies that employ almost 4,500 people. But remarkably, and maybe this is the most important part, it has been very vulnerable due to the flooding from the river, which is a problem that Replicate has been gradually been addressing. So one of the challenges of Replicate has been tackling in this area is improving the district connectivity, as we are going to see in the presentations, to the rest of the city through public transport, improving the internet connectivity through a high-speed connectivity network, and also improving the energy efficiency of its building. Before moving on, first and foremost, let me acknowledge those contributing to this program, to this webinar series, that will continue during the whole year 2019. Particularly, I would like to thank from Work Package 1 and Fomento San Sebastián, Eli Jorge. Also, I would like to thank from Work Package 3 from Fomento San Sebastián, Nora Mendoza and Marta Zabaleta. And last but not least, from Work Package 11, I would like to thank Tecnomar, particularly Solt Kremer, Alasne Bilbao, and Marta Sanchez. They will put the video just after this session on the website replicateproject.eu, and we'll hashtag with the City-to-CityLearning. So today in San Sebastian, in the Basque Country, we have I would like to kindly welcome Nora Mendoza, the city representative of San Sebastian, from Fomento San Sebastián, and also the 3 speakers from the 3 companies, the 3 SMEs located in San Sebastian. The first speaker is going to be Leikolan, with 2 speakers, with Félix Ezcurra and Mikel Callero, an engineering SMEs firm working on a street light system for energy savings, remote control, and modernization of city infrastructure. The second speaker is going to be Arcaiz Carbajo from EuroHelp firm, and the third speaker is going to be we are going to have 2 speakers, Sergio Montero and Aitor Rodriguez from Ikusi, in order to present the mobility slot. So I would like to introduce the city representative, Nora Mendoza, and open the floor for the case and the pilot of San Sebastian. Good morning, Nora. Egunon.
Good morning, Igor.
How are you?
Yeah, thanks right? A lot. Yeah, very well. I hope you are also okay. And hello to everybody connected to the webinar today. Nice to have all of you today here.
Okay, so let's kick off the case of San Sebastian, the pilot, and you've been very much involved in the case of the pilot in San Sebastian, dealing with stakeholders, very different stakeholders within different sectors. So could you just give us an insight about how each of the stakeholders that they're going to present has been and is contributing to the San Sebastian pilot?
Yeah, sure. We have today 3 local companies with really a strong commitment with the Lighthouse City of San Sebastian. We can say that they are contributing to improve our smart city management with different replicable smart technological solutions for energy, mobility, and ICT infrastructures. With Leikolan's solution, as you will see later on, we have a more efficient lighting system in the industrial estate of Polígono 27 of the city located in the district, Urumea Riverside district of San Sebastian. With these solutions, this solution allows a remote smart management with benefits both from economical and management perspectives to the city. The created intelligent network has also allowed the integration of IP services. EuroHelp is contributing to the exploitation of San Sebastian information, publishing energy, mobility, and ICT infrastructure data, and linking it to other cities through the Link Open Data Cloud. And ICUSI is contributing with a smart mobility platform that integrates city information and provides KPIs in real time, showing the status of the mobility reality in the district with the aim of facilitating its management. So I think that there are 3 good examples of our city implementations in the city of San Sebastian that contribute to an improvement and to become a smart district, that to have a more replicable solutions that can be replicated in the city, in other areas, and also in other cities around Europe. As coordinator on behalf of Fomento San Sebastián, I would like to really thank to all our local partners, their commitment and contribution to the Lighthouse Smart City of San Sebastian. It's really a pleasure to work with all of you, and of course with the rest of the partners of the Replicate project. And thanks, Igor, for this opportunity of sharing our experience today with the rest of participants, and later on sharing it through internet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Nora. It was a very broad and at the same time deep insight in order to give the floor for the speakers. In a nutshell, an essential aspect of San Sebastian is how service provision is evolving towards data monitoring, both in smart lighting and mobility. And thus the order of the presentations is not random. I mean, we have consciously designed this order because it matters. Legoland will elaborate on the smart lighting, as Nora has mentioned. EuroHelp will present the current implementation of data management, and which is applicable to lighting and mobility. And ultimately, ICUSI will present the current advancements on the mobility platform. So the whole title of this session by San Sebastian is the excellence of service provision based on data monitoring and smart management. I would like to welcome and open the floor for the first presentation with Felix Ezcurra and Mikel Callero. They are going to present the slot by entitled From Traditional Infrastructures to Intelligent Connected Solution. Please, the floor is yours. Welcome, Felix and Mikel.
Hello, well, thank you very much, Igor. I am Felix Ezcurra, Technical and Commercial Engineer in Legoland, and with me is Mikel Callero, that is Electronic Device Designer and Smart City Services responsible in the company. I am going to make the presentation. And well, the name of the presentation is From Traditional Infrastructures to Intelligent Connected Solution. It's focused to street lighting and other city services like video cameras, information panels, free Wi-Fi, etc. Well, index you see, first of all, we are going to speak about the company and our target in Replicate. Something about the traditional infrastructures. After that, the implemented infrastructure, something about technology, the results, replication potential, and conclusions. Our company, we are engineering specialized in street lighting and industrial lighting. And in our installations, we get energy savings, we implant remote control systems, and we offer modernization of city infrastructures. In this slide, you can see the area we have done our work. It's Polígono 27 in San Sebastian. you can see in the map where it's located. And in this case, the town council wanted to regenerate and modernize this area. Our contribution, first, we changed the lighting. The old one was high pressure sodium, and we proposal and we install LED lights because they are more efficient and the life expectancy is 3 or 4 times more than conventional. We install a remote and intelligent control system too that allowed to do work online real time. We can change the light levels. We can receive alarms if the lights doesn't work, and with this remote control, we can reduce more the energy consumption and reduce the maintenance cost. And in this area, we have included EP services. EP services like video transmission, audio, and vehicle accounting, this kind of EP services. And why this work? Because one of the city council policy is save energy and improve the quality of lighting. Other is improve the security of the zones, accident or thieves, and they want to it's one area with high traffic of vehicles, and they want to avoid retention and improve the circulation. Okay, then the main objective of Lakeland in the project is that the solution we install needs to be easy to implement, replicable in any other environment or country, not conditioned in the lighting type or electrical distribution, needs to be low cost implementation and maintenance, and the citizen has to perceive better lighting, security, and improves in traffic. And they need to perceive, of course, more modern space. Okay, this slide shows the traditional infrastructure. We have an electric box, underground pipe, cables, street lighting poles, and we only use this infrastructure to at night to put the light in the street. In the next in this slide, we can see what happened when one town council wanted to install new services like surveillance cameras, for example, information panels, Wi-Fi service, audio service, bus stop, or recharging point for a car. For each service, they need to install a new electric box, a maintenance service, poles, underground cables, and for that you need to do a high investment and you need high maintenance cost. Then our proposal is to use the lighting as a network and infrastructure. Then we can install in the electric lighting poles, for example, digital panels, the audio, Wi-Fi, motion sensors, and connect all of them to electric box. For that, we will have 230 volts during all the day. Then we have power in different devices, and other part is that we proposal to use technology power line communications to get a communication between different devices. Lighting as network and infrastructure, and the reason is because it's economical. No big infrastructure are needed. We will have 230 volts for new device connection. That is one of the main problems in the cities. We will use the local area network by lighting replacement, and the maintenance will be very simple for the administration. In this slide, you see we can see the general architecture of a smart city. In the bottom area, we have the city with the different devices, and next floor is well, the infrastructure with power line, LoRa, the different technologies that we install. Next one, we have the floor that we make the acquisition of the information, the data, and in the top we have the different applications or platforms to get the management. The technology we use is power line with power line communications with a specific feature that is that we can send about 200 megabits per second with using the same cables that we use to send the power. And the implementation is very easy. It's very easy because we only use a small device in the bottom of the strip poles, name it node or node, and in each electric box we install a headend or gateway that get the connection with the cloud. Then with these very simple components, we can make the installation. In this slide, we see which is the traditional lighting. This normally in the cities now they only install a LED with a dimming. Then along the night, the power of the light is going down, and in the morning going up. And we proposal to install LED with motion detection system with a schedule and remote control. Then we will get more safety, we will save more energy, and we will reduce the cost of maintenance. This is one sample. You see one picture, very typical. When one road, there are no cars in 2 hours, and we are using the same power that if there is car or no car. Then we offer or we proposal to use sensors. If there are no traffic, we will propose to use less power, less consumption. We can use a configurable calendar. Then Monday, Tuesday, weekends, we can adjust the lighting level we consider better for each season. And we will have maintenance alarms too. If one light is broken, we can see that where is the problem and make a planification for maintenance. Smart services implemented in the case of San Sebastián has been, for example, audio. We have installed video cameras. We have installed one system to traffic vehicle counting, surveillance cameras, and other possibilities could be information panels, free Wi-Fi, recharge point for electric cars, and this kind of services. And And about the replication potential, why it's easy to replicate this proposal is because in this case the implementation of new services that requires by citizens like surveillance or charging points, free Wi-Fi, do not need civil work and new contract with electric companies. And other point is because it costs little money compared with other solutions that need civil work, for example, and the payback period is less than 6 years in the case of San Sebastian, considering the energy and maintenance cost saving. One challenge or opportunity for the town council is that needs a new departmental coordination, because we propose that one department needs to maintain different services, and now they have one department for every service. And finally, about the conclusions, this deployment of the project has been implemented in San Sebastian, is running successfully, and have a very good potential for replication in the smart lighting. About the devices, we have very relevant reduction of energy consumption, an important reduction of maintenance cost. The management system of the lighting service offered to citizens that is adaptable to the citizens' needs. For example, we can adjust in one street and other one different light levels in real time. We make the creation of local area network that can be used to install new services in the existing infrastructure, and all the data collected with our sensors and other services installed can be used in other platforms in the city. About the cost, we mentioned that it's lower than other comparison with other possibilities, and other result expected. We expect to improve the reduction of energy, and it should allow to implement additional EP services, and it will be a valuable experience for replicability of the technology used. Well, this is our presentation, and nothing more to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felix Ezcurra, for your presentation. 2 comments. First of all, I'm pretty sure that there might be questions and comments. We have stakeholders from Lighthouse Bristol. Hello, Bristol. But also we have some stakeholders from Essen in Germany, and in Nilüfer, even farther than Germany, in Turkey. We have some people here in this. So what I'm going to ask you is, if you have any comment, please introduce yourself first, and then make a question or a comment or whatever you wanted to say. So before I'm going to open the floor for the discussion around this slot of smart lighting, just a little wrap up. I think that this presentation has been focused on the importance of being a low-cost technical solution, integrating different kind of usages and services that could be offered to citizens. But having said that, I think that, for example, when the presentation has highlighted the importance that citizens need to perceive better lighting, security, and improves of the traffic in the area, Somehow I have a question about how the regulation of the CCTV cameras could be foreseen for offering this service, not just in San Sebastian, because as we know, all the countries, even at the European Union, they have similar regulations, but sometimes different regulation for this kind of element. So if they have considered the privacy element on this, and the second question that I have, I think that it was something very relevant at the end of the presentation when Mr. Ezcurra has mentioned the importance of how the city councils, they need to adapt and they need to create matricial organizations to accommodate the needs of a smart intersector and cross-cutting and transversal strategies. I mean, not talking about one person. We're talking about one person instead of talking with many departments, which is from the private sector perspective is not exactly a very good position. So I don't know if you have any answer to these general questions.
Yeah. The first one I understand is about regulation of surveillance cameras. Our work is to now it's very difficult to install in San Sebastián one surveillance camera because first you need power in this one point, and the town council is not easy to make one pipe underground, and the easier way for them is to use electric one pole for a street lighting pole, and they need to have along the day 230 volts. Then our work objective is this one, to supply energy to this point. About regulation is the responsibility of the municipality, and they do all the work about that. I'm not knowledge about this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one about sorry. Yes. About the.
I mean, just to provide some insight. I mean, something that you have mentioned is very common at the moment in many municipalities, even in Replicate. How the services, they need to connect different departments, and sometimes the city council are not ready to work like that. So I think that you have addressed something from the outside that I think is very relevant for smart city strategies in the city council, into the city councils.
Yes, well, in the case of San Sebastián, is for me it's a challenge, opportunity to get a better organization, because if they don't change, if they don't make some changes in internal organization, they can not grow in make a good construction as a smart city. Now is departmental, and they need to make a reorganization to I don't know how to explain, to coordinate this kind of services, because now
absolutely, I think. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really very important point, and even you have addressed that from the private sector, which is to some extent I think is much more important even. So let's open the floor for questions around the audience. I guess that there might be some questions for Mr. Ezcurra. Please introduce yourself first. Any question around?
Hi, this is Kai from Essen.
Thank you
very
Kai.
much for the very interesting presentation. And I have a question. First of all, I want to second what Igor stated, that obviously it's quite a challenge for the city councils to reorganize in order to really be able to grab the opportunities. And also in the sense of those different opportunities, I was wondering if you have any insights on how to also measure kind of demands of citizens for the kind of services. Because there's a whole wide range of possible services that can be added to the lighting. But as Igor also pointed out, sometimes it's also maybe a couple of services that can be seen critical, for example, the possibility for surveillance with CCTV. But generally, how do you would recommend city councils to try to capture the demand of citizens for services? Or
very good, yeah. Very good point, Kai. Any answer?
¿Cómo capta? Okay. Yes. Well, first of all, we see, and the problem, because in this case it's one specific area, and politician says to in the local news, you can see that it's necessary to improve in certain areas, and this is we use the magazines and to know what's the requirements for this area. But one is, as I told in the presentation, is let me see, one moment. It's one part is the politician says, okay, we need to improve the traffic and different areas. This demand we detect in this way. They tell us, and we see, because it's near in our geographical area, and we see the problems, and we try to do one solution.
Okay, let's move on to the second presentation. I mean, I think there are some questions.
Sorry. Igor.
Yes.
No. Go on.
Okay, I think that there are many questions that we are going to answer in this first session of the City-to-City Learning Program, because maybe we don't have any answer yet to respond to them. The point is that I think, once again, I'm going to highlight, because it's connected with the second presentation by Arcaiz Carvajo, that is this, when someone is saying citizens need to perceive, from Essen, Kai has said, well, how can we really identify and capture what the citizen needs and what do they think about? And I think it's something that is very relevant these days. We mentioned so far, right now we are going to move on the data debate, but the GDPR is not just about privacy, and security is something else. So welcome Arcaiz Carvajo from EuroHelp, a company based in the Basque Country in Spain as well. He's going to talk about exploitation of the city information, linking data to other cities. So, I mean, there is a potential relevance to connect data from city to city through a semantic web. Please give us some insight about this insightful topic.
Yes, hello everyone, I'm Arcaiz Carvajo here speaking. Yes, it's very relevant, as you can make the information interoperable across cities. Interoperability is a main issue here. You don't want your information to be in a silo, just lying on your data hub. You want the information to be made public, just the selected data sets. So everyone can use, third parties, organizations, citizens can use those data. Reutilization is also an important keyword here. And you can only do that if you take into account the interoperability of data. And you can achieve that by linking your datasets to datasets from other organizations. Okay. So let me start with the presentation. Okay. Okay, so in the bottom left of this slide, you got the hashtags, the Twitter hashtag. If you want to tweet about this, to send me any question or feedback, I will answer later on. I'm Arcaiz Carbajo. As I said before, I work for EuroHelp, a Basque software company. This is the table of contents. We'll introduce firstly the company, EuroHelp, and our target in Replicate. I will introduce what it is, linked open data, and within the Replicate project, which have been the main objectives, the performed tasks, which has been the data flow when converting data into linked open data, the technologies used. I don't want to go very deep into technologies, but just to list them so everyone can check them out. The obstacles we have found, but these are no obstacles that we have found in a concrete way. It's obstacles that anyone facing a linked data platform will see. The impacts for the city, in this case particularly for the San Sebastián municipality, and the replicability of the solution. Okay. First of all, let me introduce EuroHelp. We are a software developing company. We offer innovative and effective solutions in many fields of ICT. We are mainly developing solutions for public administration, but we also develop solutions for smart city fields, digital transformation and industry 4.0, open government solutions, especially in the fields of transparency, developing open data platforms, and engaging citizenship, developing citizen participation platforms. We are the main provider here in the Basque government public key infrastructure, so we develop solutions in the field of digital trust, involving web security, digital certificates, biometric signatures, and so on. We are now about 300 professionals with the skills in web and mobile technologies, blockchain, big data, and machine learning. We have innovation labs in the last three topics presented in this slide. Okay, so within Replicate, we have participated in the definition of a smart city ICT platform, involving the definition of the components of a data hub architecture, where all the information gathered by the different actuations of the project will lie. We have also defined, and we'll see later, implement the linked data part of this open data platform, identifying and developing and designing the components for offering these capabilities, and a control room dashboard where the KPIs, the key performance indicators of the city, are shown in a very intuitive and interactive way. The second point is what this presentation is all about, is the design, development, and deployment of a linked data platform and pipeline to convert and publish data generated within the Replicate, just the identified data sets within the Replicate sub-projects. But we have also designed, developed, and deployed a citizen participation platform for the municipality of San Sebastián, which is currently running on. Still to perform within the project is the monitor of the developed solutions and further adjustments if needed in the next 2 years. So what is linked data? We'll start with a generic definition of what open data is. It's data that's based on non-proprietary formats, such as CSV, RDF, we'll see later on. It should be machine and human readable to foster the reutilization of the data. It should be easy to access. This usually means to make it public and accessed via HTTP, via web. It should be easy to use. It should be reusable without restrictive license, and it should have no cost for users. Of course, you can adjust some of these points, and for example, adding licensing to the data. You can have open private data within among certain organizations. People from those organizations can use the data, but no one else could see it. But this is just the generic definition of what is open data. Linked open data is just a subset of open data. In this case, we'll have URIs to identify things, to identify resources. These resources should be accessed using the protocol HTTP. These things should be, we should be able to look up for these things using a unique URI for each resource. we should provide useful information about what this name identifies when it's looked up. We use open standards here, such as RDF or SPARQL. We can add information about provenance, for example, to identify which entity, activity, or people were involved in the creation of the dataset, for example. This can be used to assess the thing's quality, reliability, and trustworthiness. We can also inform description about the dataset itself. We have here a recommendation from the W3C, which is DCAT, which describes an RDF vocabulary specifically designed to facilitate interoperability between data catalogs published on the web. And last but not least, to be linked open data, the information should be linked, obviously. So we should refer to other things using their HTTP URI-based names when publishing data on the web. Okay, in this picture here, we have the different steps of the open data approach. In the first step, we have with 1 star when we public information with an open license, but usually in this case we are talking about formats that are not easily passable, like PDF, images, and so on. In the second step, with 2 stars, we'll have structured data, for example, in the form of an Excel spreadsheet. In the third step, with 3 stars, we'll have the same as in the second star, but using open formats such as CSV, which is a plain text. The next step will identify each resource with a unique URI, and will decorate the information with all the metadata we've talked before about provenance and the description of the dataset. We can do this using RDF documents. And in the last step, with 5 stars, we'll have our datasets linked to another organization's datasets. So what we achieve with these 5 stars, we'll be participating in the universal database, linked data database. Each of these nodes, circles, it's a dataset itself. So when you access a resource in one of these nodes, you can follow your nodes and get the information about this resource from another database stored in another organization's infrastructure. So we are participating in a global database. Okay, so the interoperability is very visible here in this picture. The main objectives in our linked data approach in the Replicate project have been the design, development, and deployment of the linked open data platform, the implementation of an automated conversion and publishing pipeline, the selection and publication of certain datasets generated within the Replicate sub-projects, specifically related to ICT infrastructures, energy, and mobility. This rough architecture represents the overall approach in the linked open data publishing. We'll gather the information from its sources. We'll have here the CCAN, which is an open data portal, and the data hub, where all the information generated within Replicate lies. We'll process all the selected data sets and convert them into linked data formats and store them in the Triple Store, which is a database for the linked data information. The performed task has been filtering and aggregating data. We don't want to publish bulk data, raw data. We want to aggregate information to publish only those identify KPIs. I'm talking right here about the concrete use case here in San Sebastian. Then we have a cleaning of the data. Usually you will find special characters and some columns you don't want to use. I don't know, a lot of things you have to clean about the original data to be able to convert the results into a linked data format. In this case, we have perform an REF modeling. Then we have design and build a pipeline for this automation to take part. I'm talking about conversion, the quality check, the link discovery, and the storage in the triple store. We have automate all this using the content continuous integration server Jenkins and GitHub as a source code repository to store all the developments made. All the components of this architecture has been deployed using Docker as a containerization technology, so it's easily replicable. Right here, we can see the pipelines in the pipeline in Jenkins with every stages of the pipeline. It's very concrete for this use case. In the Replicate project, we firstly remove the data graph from the Blaze graph from the triple store database. We take out the pipeline. This is very important for the continuous delivery. If we modify the pipeline and we upload the changes to the source code repository in GitHub, the next time the pipeline executors will download the changes and take that into account. Then we have the stage of converting the information from CSV, JSON, or whatever format coming from to RDF. Then we will check the RDF quality and upload the information to Blaze graph. After that, we will check for links outside our database. This is where the linking part of the link data takes part. And in the end, we will include this linking information to the data graph stored in the database. Okay, I will not go very deep into technologies. You can ask later on or send me an email. You can check the contacts in the first slide of this presentation. For the RDF conversion, we have used RML with a turtle configuration and the original format of the information, CSV, JSON, or whatever. We have used this tool to convert it to RDF. We have used a WC recommendation, shackle, shapes constraint language for the quality assurance of the data. We have used Silk to link discovery issues. And we have used JustGit to deploy an Sparkle endpoint. You can see here the user interface of the San Sebastian Sparkle endpoint, where the users can introduce the Sparkle query and press play, and they will see the results in the bottom of the page. You have the URI down there. Okay, this is just an example of a Sparkle query. In the first lines, starting with prefix keyword, we have the name schemas to use, and then we have starting with the select keyword, the query to be running to obtain the results. In this case, we are asking the database for parking spaces in every parking slot of San Sebastian. The technologies used when developing this solution has been these ones. I won't go very deeply into them. You can ask me later, as I said before. So I will go on with the presentation. The obstacles we have found, this is very important to take into account when facing a linked open data approach, is that it is still an unknown paradigm for most public administrations, but it's mandatory if we want to position the city in the linked open data context. There are a lot of listings worldwide when we can find the cities how openness is approaches. So if you want your city to be on top of those lists, you will want to make this effort. There are complex technological skills required and not many experienced developers. That is true, but it's solvable. Any web developer can get this information with a proper training. And the main difficulties can be found within the data itself, because for a proper ontologist, an ontologist vocabulary where to adhere the data characteristics should be known in advance for a proper ontology selection. We want to know here the format of data, the granularity, the frequency of each freshness, the source, etc. The impacts of this solution for San Sebastian municipality has been it's just the foundation stone in San Sebastian Open Data Road. This has not been the only approach in its open data road. They now have an open data portal, CCAN, and integrated within their website, we can check out some of these data sets available publicly, and we can also check some of these data sets illustrated in forms of KPI with graphs and so on in some of the sections of the municipal website. These data sets are made public, so everyone can access the information and can leverage from its value. We can generate business by publishing information that sometimes we are not using further than was expected, so it's also a benefit. We can have our information linked to other linked data repositories, which allow us to enrich our own repositories. The transparency in itself increases, as well as its assessment by the citizens, and the city itself is more interoperable. These technologies that we have used here are very concrete. These are not the only ones. We have to adhere to the homologated technological stack of the IT department from the San Sebastian municipality. Other technologies can be used, but all of this has been made public in GitHub, so everyone can download the information and deploy all the services. We have here an Apache server. We have here the BlazeGraph, which is the database with multiple instances. We have the linked data server, a proxy for load balancing, and the Jenkins for the continuous integration and pipeline automation. Okay, so last of all, I want to introduce some of the ontologies that has been identified and maybe helpful for another cities to take them into account when converting its data into RDF, into linked data. We can check out here, for example, DCAT, as I mentioned before. This DCAT is an ontology for describing the data itself. We have here the prof ontology for model how data sets were generated for provenance issues. We have a schema, which is participated by Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, etc. We have here geonames for geographical features, and so on. We can find a lot of ontologies. We have just listed here the most commonly used for a smart city approach. For example, the IoT ontology for sensors and associated applications, the urban energy ontology, and of course the KM4 city ontology developed by one of our partners in Replicate, the University of Florence. So that would be all. If you have any question, I'm very pleased to answer them.
Thank you very much, Arcade. Very intense, technically speaking, very intense description. I think that just before we are going to prepare for a Q&A, for a discussion, I think that there are two levels of discussion, expert, specialist, and the generalistic. I would like to open the floor for discussion with one general comment, and is, I don't know how this linked open data approach, as you mentioned with the RDF files, could just be connected with the privacy versus transparency post-GDPR scenario that we are having in many European cities. Just two comments and two questions. How linked open data approach could serve a citizen participation platform? Very specific question, because you have said something at the beginning that you are working already in San Sebastian with a citizen participation platform. So my question would be how this linked open data implementation could serve as something that could be used in the citizen participation platform. And the second one, and this is why I would like to open the floor for comments, is what is the benefit for cities for being in these international linked data repositories?
Okay, so first of all, linked data related to citizen participation. In this case, when we are talking about the linked data approach, we are talking about transparency. We have three pillars within the open government approach, which is transparency, collaboration, and participation. The linked data approach will fit into the first one, the transparency. You want the citizens to be involved by them knowing your information, knowing your indicators of the city, and leveraging the information to be used for citizens, third parties, organizations to develop solutions around this data. Yes, we have developed a citizen participation platform. I don't know if I can access it right now. Yeah, I have it right here. It is already running. These are some of the participative process going on. We have one closed process and 3 processes that are currently open, where the citizens can actively participate within the municipal policies. We have here the participative budgets for the 2019 year, the improvement of the district of Amaraberry, and the municipal planning, housing planning. We can access any of these processes and check out some information. We have 4 tabs here. We have the detailed stuff where the context, what and how is going to be done, is presented for the citizens. We have here listed the different phases of this process. Sorry. Okay, here. I'm not very good with the laptop mouse, sorry. We have here the different phases and the dates that are going to take into account, the informative session, the completion, meeting points, surveys, etc. The results of all of these phases, with, for example, here we can find meeting minutes of one session, inputs from the citizens, and documents of interest for this specific process. So these are 2 approaches. On one side, we have transparency with the linked data approach, and we have the participation with this platform, the citizen participation platform.
Okay, thank you. I'm pretty sure that there are many people in the audience, particularly from Bristol, that have been working on that they may have some questions. Please introduce yourself and make a comment or a question. Any question, any comment?
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I am Nora from Fomento San Sebastián. Yes.
Thank you, Nora.
I would like to ask you if this link open data technology, well, we have been working together in Replicate, so we've been working on that for the city of San Sebastián, but I would like to know if it's a mature technology, which is really the state of there right now, if other cities are also connected, if we are one of the first ones, of if this is really an opportunity and more cities are joining, no,
okay.
At this moment.
Yes to all. Yeah, it's a very mature technology. It's not a new technology at all. It has been used before in health securities for storing information about genome, for example. It's very useful to store information where you want to detect patterns within the data sets. For example, when we are participating in a social network, our information is stored in a graph, so they can know which people to show you to maybe you want to connect to these people because they have detect a pattern in the behavior of the data. But yes, more currently it has been used for the search engines. For example, Google uses it all the time. When you search a term in Google, and you can see the listing proposals, but on the right side on the screen you can see a specific information with a picture of, for example, you have a search for an actor, and you can see on the left side in the main part of the main section on the page, the different websites to access information. But on the right side you can see a picture of this actor, where he was born, his age, etc. That information is stored in linked data. What is being used there is information is being stored in JSON LD within the web pages. There are many formats, but JSON LD is the most used one. JSON LD goes for JSON is the format of the document. LD goes for linked data. So when you develop web pages, you will use HTML as a markup language, but you can decorate the information with JSON LD, helping search engines to properly show this further information about your website. So it's a very mature technology, not used only for transparency issues.
And for the case of San Sebastian, I guess that this is a good opportunity to be connected to other cities in the world, so other people can reach San Sebastian due to this in this link open data. Is that right?
Of course, but not only other people or other organizations can access San Sebastian's data, which is very important, but I think even more important is that San Sebastian can access other repositories around the world, because they now have the information connected to these repositories. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can use.
Let's see. Apart from people from San Sebastian, what the rest of the cities think, because I think that I think it's good to have a conversation in San Sebastian within San Sebastian stakeholders. But let's hear the rest of the people, because I think that many things have been said. I mean, distinguishing transparency with participation, of course, but also privacy. I don't know how good or bad is that some personal information are going to be available for many citizens when these are private data. So, I mean, I don't know if there is any comment on that on the rest of the stakeholders and the rest of the cities.
I don't have a comment on privacy, but I wanted to ask some questions. Oh, my name is Rosanna.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
From Bristol? My name is Rosanna from Bristol.
Rosanna, okay. And where are you coming from? Which your organization?
I am from University of Bristol.
Thank you very much, Rosanna. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I just... a quick question first. You mentioned blockchain, and then you did not discuss any of that. Do you actually use it for any of the data storage or processing that you discussed?
For this project, no. We have an innovation lab dedicated for blockchain issues. We have some projects with it, but not in this case. We have not used blockchain as a data storage.
Okay. Second question is about the origins of data and how do you integrate the data in terms of, do you issue some kind of guidelines, let's say what the frequency should be, and all the things that you mentioned about that you need to harmonize data, which is only possible if it is harmonizable. So do you kind of instruct the potential sources of data provision, what kind of granularity, what kind of frequencies they need to be, and so on?
Yeah. This is the most important part of all the process, because the technological part can be resolved. But first of all, you need to properly analyze the information. Which of those that information has to be made public, identify its source, format, granularity, etc. And it depends completely on you what and how you want to make it public. You probably for a certain data set, you want to make it publicly with a daily refreshment, but for other data sets, maybe with once in a week, it's enough. You don't want to make normally linked data exposure of raw information. For that, you can use web APIs, which are far quicker. You'll want to use linked data for information that is already aggregated. Okay, so you want to firstly do an auditory of which data sets are available within the house, because we have found within Replicate that normally not everyone knows how many data sets are available in the municipality. It's very important to identify. It's also a very good exercise, not just for the linked data related approach, but also as an organization to properly know what you have in terms of data. And then you have to identify in which formats to support, which format to publish data on, and the availability of the data you want to offer to the public.
So does it mean that you are only making available a certain abstraction of the data. All the other data sets which are available are kind of the base, and then you process and publish into the linked format only a certain kind of abstraction of it.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, and would be very good to see some samples. It would be very, very informative to see like energy data, for instance. The previously discussed lighting scenario. Do you aggregate any of that?
Yeah, we have developed some of that. We can provide links after this session.
Thank you. Would be very kind of you.
Perfect. Thank you both, Rosanna and Arcades. And we are going to move on to the third and the last, not least, presentation today. That is called Smart Services through a Smart Platform. I know that there are going to be much more questions, but we are going to open the floor for discussion at the end. We are accumulating layers. We have started with the smart lighting. Right now, we've been focused on data, and right now we are going to move on to mobility. We have ICUSI, which is a very relevant firm in the Basque Country and generally an international company. And I would like to give the floor for Sergio Montero and Aitor Rodriguez, please.
Okay. Yes. Well, hello. My name is Aitor. Sergio, my college is connected to the webinar, and in the case there is any issue related with mainly with analytic area, probably he can also help in the explanation or in the questions.
Hi everybody.
Okay, so well, I will start from the beginning. As you said, ICUSI is a technological company focused mainly in the business digital transformations activities for different areas like mobility, security, public sector, etc. And in the Replicate project, our main goal or our main issue was the design and implementation of a smart mobility platform. And this platform monitors and manages a large volume of data coming from the multiple sources and operational mobility systems that we can find in the cities more and more every day with the IoT technology and with the cooperative communications that we are seeing in the smart cities every day. And this platform uses business intelligence and big data analytic tools with the objective of centralize, process, and exploit all this data that we have in the city with the aim of showing the most important information to the planners, to the mobility authorities, in a way that they can understand in a better way the reality of the mobility, and they are available to make the best decisions in each case to improve the urban mobility services. This is more or less the goal of this platform. Focusing in the project, in the activities of the project, what we have done is using this platform. We have integrated the different mobility data sources of the San Sebastián city with the aim of the acquisition, processing, and communication of all this data from these different urban data sources, sensors, operational systems, knowledge bases, etc. We have worked with the San Sebastian mobility department in order to design and model the information in a way that is useful for them, for their usual work, for their usual meetings, reports, etc. So with this work, we have obtained information in real time about the state of the mobility in a way that is useful for the San Sebastian mobility technicians to take the most appropriate decisions, and offering a global vision of the mobility for the city, but also specific details for each mobility department. For example, areas working with bicycle, public bicycle system, the public transport, parking, traffic, etc. We have established with them the specific information, the specific data they need to take decisions. As you can see on the screen, very brief architecture of the platform. The platform is composed by different layers. The first one is the connection layer. This is related with the acquisition of the data from the field, with different connectors, and with adapters to transform this data to the data models that we have worked with the mobility department. We have on the top the knowledge layer. Here we have the real-time processing of the data, but also the analytic processing for the historical data that we are storing in this layer. After this, we have the interoperability layer to expose this information to the different applications, and of course we have on the top the service layer with the user in one hand the user application of the platform, but we have all the operational or functional modules of the platform, but also some tools for the integration with third-party applications, web pages, and other platforms, and other smart city platforms. They can also access to the data processed by our platform. And there is also a cross layer, this support layer, mainly for administration and configuration issues, to establish security of the users and this kind of issues. So after seeing the platform, how we offer the services to the urban managers, we are offering all these services through the functional modules of the application. So we can see the most important of them. One is the map, where we can see all the services of all the urban services of the city, geo-referenced and in real time with the most recent data processed by the platform. We can visualize the status of each of these services. For example, in the case of traffic, the different situation of the streets according to the traffic flows, for example. And we can also establish some automatic alarms, configuring some values, and if the value are higher than that we are expecting for these services, we can receive some alarms with the information that what is happening in this service or in this area of the city. We have another specific module for the indicators for the mobility vertical. What we have here is some dashboards that summarize the current situation of each mobility area. So they are showing the most important indicators, the KPIs for each area analyzed. These KPIs have been worked with the technicians, so they are showing what they want to show to analyze the service. And we have defined also more detailed business indicators with different filters to see the information according to different dates, according to different geographical areas of the city, according to some kind of filters to see these indicators in different way and analyze more deeply what is happening with the services of the city. We are monitoring the near real-time indicators, but also another indicators that are related with the strategic plans of the city, and these objectives are more in medium-long term objectives with the, for example, to improve the pedestrian mobility in 2002, and this kind of objectives that are more related with the smart city plans, urban management plans, and this kind of strategical point of view. Our platform has, as I said, business intelligence capabilities, but also big data or predictive analysis capabilities also. In the case of San Sebastian, we have focused in one specific case that is the public bicycle system. So we have tried to predict the demand of public bicycles in each station of the city. We are not trying to predict how many bicycles are needed, but if the station is filled, is empty, is balanced, more or less to know the situation in each station. For that, we have trained a predictive model with the data that we obtained about the bicycle system, also meteorological data, calendar, etc., to implement a predictive algorithm based on random forest model. After analyzing another kind of models, we have used random forest, and we have optimized this algorithm with some activities like width variation, doing different proofs, reduction of the sample sometimes, and we have obtained in certain cases accuracy over 70% in the prediction, 70-75% more or less in the prediction of the bicycle demand in the stations. And another important module or service offered by the platform is the reports and statistics, because we have a modules for the generation of reports. We have agreed these reports with the mobility department, so they can generate automatically documentation, periodic reports that they are using in in their day-to-day work, but on demand also we can configure new reports that they can demand for their work. And these reports can be grouped according to different criteria: date, intervals, periodicity, priority, geographical areas, for example, to see different neighborhoods, the values how are changing between these neighborhoods, and this kind of information. About impacts and results of this work, well, we have designed and implement an innovative platform for as we can see for the urban mobility services. We have tried to conceive this from a holistic point of view to facilitate the understanding of the overall situation of the mobility in the city. We think that this is an innovative concept because it helps breaking the silos to say in some way imposed sometimes by the day-to-day work of the departments, because the platform combines information available for different data sources to see a common KPIs, a common dashboards to the different areas. So in this way, they can search for a better coordination activities. They can use in a better way their resources, and the cooperation between the different areas of the department can be achieved in a better way. And it's a global benefit, as I said, not only for the urban managers, in this case is clear. They can improve the services based on the knowledge. The decision making is supported by real data. But in the case of the service providers of the city, they are also they can also obtain benefits from the platform because they can optimize the available resources, and they can really validate that they are complying with the service level agreement to demonstrate that they are really complying with agreements. To finish the replication issues of our platform, the solution has been designed as a highly replicable solution. The data models that we have created for San Sebastian, for the different areas, traffic, public transport, bicycles, etc., we think that they can be with some configurations applied also in another cities, because so many urban problems are more or less in a same way in different cities. And we can also easily scale, adding other data sources not implemented in San Sebastian, but we can add in other cities, not only for mobility, because we can also obtain information from environment, energy, water, and for example, implement an indicator to see how the traffic is affecting to the air quality or the noise, or well, to combine also different particles of the city. The architecture is very modular, so we can also, if necessary, if we have to deploy more sensors, more operational systems, we can scale the storage capacity and integrate new sensors of new operational system. Analyzing the strengths and weaknesses to have some lessons learned, difficulties, access to some data sources sometimes is not easy because technological reasons sometimes and other legal reasons, operational questions sometimes can happen. But we think that they are very good opportunities that they can push the replicability, because we can obtain the coordinated vision of all the mobility areas. We can integrate what we have done in San Sebastian with other smart city systems, and as we seen, it is a very easily extensible system. So the replication also is not very difficult. And to finish, summarizing some best practices for replication, we have used extensible data models for the incorporation of new content in the verticals, indicators, scorecards, etc. That means that we can start working with this current data model and improve with new content in not very difficult way. And as we seen in the architecture, in the connection layer, we have some adaptive mechanisms, and this is to facilitate the integrations, because part of the integrations, the adapters of the data model, are part of, we can say, the product. So we have only to develop connectors when we have to integrate a new service providers. So we are trying to facilitate the replication and the integration of other data providers. And finally, we have used standard interfaces for the integration with third parties, REST web services, JSON archives, and well, all the standards that can be also applied in another cities. And that's the presentation and what we have achieved in the project in Replicate.
Thank you, Ikusi, for your presentation. Just to wrap up the content before opening the floor for discussion, I think that the smart mobility platforms, they have become already platforms that they are gathering nearly real-time data, which is a fact. However, I think that's something that is happening not only in European cities, but also in international cities, is how these mobility platforms could be used and could benefit citizens. When I'm saying that, I'm asking directly because in the three presentations, mainly in two of them, the way in which these platforms, they produce algorithms has been presented, but nobody has mentioned who own algorithms. Are algorithms owned by private companies? Are they have any contract with the city council? I think it's something that should be discussed. And before opening the floor for discussion for more questions, I would like to finish developing on this idea of who owns algorithms, something that is happening at the moment in Barcelona and Madrid, but also in Istanbul. That is how platform economy like Uber and Cabify, because mobility is not just about data of public transport. Mobility is also data on platform economy of companies like Uber and Cabify that maybe at the moment in San Sebastian are not operating. But well, as we are seeing, the conflict in Barcelona and in Madrid is quite relevant. And on the other side, and I'm pretty sure that the audience is not knowledgeable about that, but in Nilüfer, for instance, there is an informal way of sharing economy that is called Domus. We have Ezra and we have Baja that they can even talk more about this, that is exactly based on sharing economy without the conflict of having Cabify and Uber. So, I mean, I would like to leave this comment here because, of course, there is no solution at all. But I think mobility, apart from the technical aspect of building different data layers, I think there's something else. That is how is the governance model in Replicate cities. And don't forget that in the acronym of Replicate, there is the word citizenship. So having said that, I would like to open the floor for discussion. Any question, any comment about the presentation, the last presentation, but overall the whole the three presentations?
Hello, Rob from Bristol.
Hi, Rob. Morning, afternoon.
Good morning. Yeah, just good afternoon here. Yes.
Afternoon, yeah.
How are you doing the tracking the position of the vehicles? GPS or smartphones?
Sorry, for the tracking of the vehicles in the city.
Yes, that's right.
Well, yes, as you said, they can be different ways to track this. In this specific case, we have more worked with we have tried to work with the information coming from the operational. In the case, for example, of the public transport systems, with the information that is coming from the operational systems. So yes, they have using not Wi-Fi, but yeah, I think it's GPIs. They can use GPIs technologies to give us in this integration process the position or the situation of the different buses in this case that we are integrating in the platform. In the case of the vehicles, we are not doing a tracking of the vehicles because it's not. Well, we are just analyzing the traffic flows with the in a different street, but we are not trying to track the private vehicles because it's well, maybe there are some issues there to have these permissions to track these vehicles, but we are just tracking the public float of vehicles, and we can do this with the GPS information that already the operational systems or the management system of the public transport department is giving us in the integration process.
Yes, yeah, it's similar to what we're doing here in Bristol. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any other question in the audience?
This is Kai from Essen. I also have got a question because I was.
Yes, please go ahead.
You were stating also that also visualizing those KPIs on the smart mobility platform is also helping to follow up the strategies, city strategies and strategic goals. So I was wondering if you already have any experience on when you were monitoring the KPIs that this actually has led to a decision afterwards to reinvest or change the actual infrastructure, actual hardware, for example, that you received information that bike sharing is not used enough according to your set goals, and that this means you're then actually improving your bicycle fleet or something like that. So do you already can show how this is also then evaluated on a strategic level, the kind of monitoring you are doing? Is there already any experience?
Los KPIs. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, what we have done with for example, in the case of the bicycle system integration, is to work with the specific technician that is in charge of taking this decision about the service, about if the company provider is doing well and in improving the service. So we have tried to digitalize with real data the indicators or the information that he was trying to obtain in other ways. So I think yes, the information that we are using in the platform can be used for the strategic decisions of this area, because it's clearly related with the KPIs that he's in these years trying to obtain using another kind of another ways to obtain this. But the information that we have model, yes, is the strategical one that is being used to take decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm Nora from Fomento San Sebastián. What added value can you give apart from monitoring data and showing KPIs? Are you also well, I know more or less the answer, but I think that it's linked to the question from Kai, that you are analyzing predictive models that can be also used for these strategic decisions, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Sure. Yes. In the case of the predictive models, is the is the best example that using these technologies. You can, in the different technicians or the different areas, they can advance in some decisions that cannot be considered nowadays without this digitalization and processing of the data, because they have to figure out sometimes what can happen, but with these training models they can obtain this very useful information for the improvement of the service.
I can puntualize one thing, that in this case of the predictive models,
could you introduce yourself, please? Could you introduce?
Yes, I am Sergio Montero from the GUSI. I am the other person that with this presentation. I want to puntualize that prediction occupancy levels can help also citizens to obtain better status information on bicycle availability in order to facilitate better travel plans by providing citizen information about where will be the status of the different stations. So the platform, if we put the data in the web page of the Donostia San Sebastián city, we can also help to improve the quality of the citizens with things like that.
Any other question around in the audience?
Yes, this is Esra from Demir Energy, representing also Nilüfer.
Hello.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, perfectly well.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering, where does the citizens stand in this platform? Are they aware of all these data that is available, or are they using any kind of applications that they can see some of the data they need in their daily lives? This is for the mobility, this question is for the mobility, and in general, Igor also referred to the GDPR issues. Is it harder to tackle these kind of issues? For example, if the citizens are happy, are they happy about all these data gathered? Because we talked about surveillance and everything. So is it harder to tackle these issues after GDPR?
Yeah, thank you, Ezra. I think that you have highlighted and emphasized once again two questions that they are not being answered in the webinars, not because maybe they should be answered, but at least we should face. I mean, I think that there are some questions that we've been working on that they don't have any answer yet, but at least I think that the purpose of this program is to address them. So I think, thank you very much to emphasize them.
Something to think about, maybe. Mm-hmm.
In the case of the mobility platform, as I presented in the architecture, we have different mechanisms to share or to integrate this information that we are processing with open data portals or specific applications that maybe the municipality wants to develop. For example, in the case very obviously of the public transport system, all the information that we are processing with the platform can be easily integrated with the third-party applications that for example the bus the public transport department wants to share with the citizens. We are not processing in our platform, or we are trying in a general way. We are not processing any specific private data, to say in some way, or data that can say related with the people. We are just trying to not to process this private data of the people. So what we are obtaining can be after the review of the urban managers, can be published using the mechanisms that I have mentioned.
Yeah, maybe I can add something. I'm Nora from Fomenta San Sebastián. From the municipality point of view, we have this smart mobility platform that is integrated in the smart city platform of the city. So in this smart city platform, we have an open data portal. So is the municipality deciding which data is open from the citizens. So it's already available. There are many data available there. We are increasing the available data for citizens, and also within that it's an opportunity also for business, for new businesses or for new applications or developments from private companies that can take data from the city to give additional services to citizens, to taking advantage of the available data. And regarding the GDPR, is also something that is analyzed really in a general, very detailed way for the complete information used in all the cities. So from the municipality, we are analyzing all the data we are using, taking into account the GDPR. So it's not only for Replicate, we are doing that for the complete city, for all the data in all the departments. So all the information we are using, we comply with these GDPR rules. In the case of EQC, I think that quite often you can be maybe using aggregated data, so information that is shown or is open is not personal data. It's always aggregated information. So we try to make sure that it's not possible to reach any individual, any citizen through this aggregated data. So it's something that we are really working on that. I think that EQC as well, we are totally aligned on that sense. So it's really an important issue for all the cities. So thanks for the question, because I think that it's really a key question for all the cities.
Thank you very much for the clarification. I don't know if there are more questions or comments on that.
Yes, I have.
I mean, sometimes
I'm Sergio Montero from the GUSI. There are some cases in Donostia San Sebastián that is not the case, that we can assist them with recognition of plates. In that case, we in our model of platform, in the first levels in the caption layer, we anonymize the data. So in our platform we don't have personal data, because before the data is in our platform, we anonymize if there are some personal data like plates, or in that case, or in the future other personal data.
Thank you very much for the clarification. More questions? Well, I think that this debate on data and how to anonymize data, I think is a core thing. The point is that sometimes the data that is not personal could become personal. For example, every time that I go myself to my hometown, San Sebastian, you are having just taxis, but one day maybe you are going to have sharing economy operating, and this is why, once again, I think that this is relevant to anticipate this before the problem is going to arise. So to wrapping up a little bit the session, I think that we have started with the smart lighting, not as a technical aspect. I think some economic and even organizational aspect has been addressed. Then we have finished talking even about the surveillance, about the GDPR, and about the CCTV cameras. The second presentation, we talk about data and how to interconnect different data sets linked up this data even globally with another kind of data sets through the semantic webs, addressing transparency, privacy, and connecting with the civilian participation. And in the last presentation, we have been focused on the importance of mobility, intersecting different data sets in real time. I think that the three aspects are absolutely open for discussion. So please share your comments to Replicate EU hashtag and City-to-CityLearning hashtags. I have seen that there are some comments already in the timeline. So please keep going with that, and stay tuned through the Replicate project.eu/City-to-CityLearning website, because immediately after you are going to finish the online session, that is an internal session just for the consortium of Replicate and the stakeholders within Replicate, we are going to publish the whole webinar, the first session of the City-to-CityLearning Programme. But before finishing this session, I would like to invite you. We have Kai from Essen, has been very active in the session. Thank you, because the next session will take place in Essen, virtually, physically in Essen, virtually everywhere, as we had today, and will be led by Essen. Essen is a fellow follower cities. Mainly, the whole title of the Essen webinar is how to dedicate innovation hubs, accelerate the smart and sustainable transition in Essen. Essen is a European green capital, and is why the strategy of a smart city of Essen is very well connected with sustainable transitions. So there are going to be three cases. The first one is going to be Impact Hub Ruhr. That is a new hub that has been created by startups. So I think that many people interested in technology and in data, I think that they should attend this webinar. Also, there is the second slot is going to be on Essen 51, how brownfield turns into a showcase for the smart and sustainable future of cities. And the third hub, that is the innovation hub that is going to present this EUREF campus. That is a campus that has been somehow renewed a World Heritage, a coal mine, one of the largest coal mine in Europe. So please join on the 21st of March, because Essen is going to be leading and keep on participating through Replicate EU hashtag. and City-to-City Learning. Thank you very much, all you attending, and see you on March 21st. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.